Did you, I wanted to just jump on in.
Go ahead, yeah.
All right, folks. Hello, 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 my wonderful family. CMC, Claremont Mckenna College alum. It is such a delight to see you all. It is a delight to be here. And I know with everything happening all over the world, it's kind of an interesting time where we might find ourselves learning some new skills, might find ourselves kind of diving into areas that we didn't take as seriously before. And LinkedIn might, for some of y'all, may be a place in particular that you maybe knew you were underutilizing. Maybe if you could even be honest with yourself and say, hey, you didn't know how to use it at all. That certainly was me before I worked at LinkedIn. So I'm really glad to take some time today to tell you everything I know, absolutely everything I know, but especially more than what is ever really told to the common person about LinkedIn. So to give you some context, LinkedIn is much more than just the profile. And I am Erikan. I am Claremont Mckenna College, class of 2013. I was a human biology major through Pitzer and was originally pre-med, but have since gone on to do a number of different things since college. And I'm currently in the process of building an asset management firm. And through all my different years and iterations of my career journey, I've used LinkedIn significantly to get to places that I could have never imagined possible at Claremont and or beyond. So I look forward to sharing with you how to think about using this platform. Sorry, my hair is getting a little excited. How to use this platform beyond just your profile. And so I would kind of take a pulse check. What are you all kind of either looking to prioritize at this time, potentially in your career, potentially you all are an entrepreneur. So maybe if in the chat, can you all share if you all are an entrepreneur looking to build new business relationships? Are you hoping to maybe network? Are you hoping to just connect with more alums and share more of your ideas? I would love to just get a sense of how do you kind of see yourself wanting to use LinkedIn, even if you're not entirely sure, and I'm happy to just kind of carve a little bit more space to tailor our experience for you. Anyone else want to share? We see Michael, we see that you are in marketing and a sales consultant. So it looks like we're trying to, we're trying to build relationships with boards, connecting with alumni, grow a fan base and viewership. I like that. Starting a business, looking to network and promote services. Amazing. So it looks like we're trying to connect with people, increase networking in a new geography, meet with more prospects. Amazing. Great. So attorney, okay, potentially looking for new clients or maybe looking for new ways to add value to your existing client base. Yes. Great, John. It's good to see that you're consistently helping students connect with more alumni and career services. Amazing. So today, my priority is to help you all think about how can you almost network virtually through LinkedIn in ways that we're often times not told. And then also to think about how do you actually build meaningful relationships on LinkedIn. There is oftentimes just the bare minimum that we're exposed to in terms of using LinkedIn, which is send a connection request and, rack up the number of connections that you have on your profile. And really at the end of the day, that's not the best way to use LinkedIn. To give you a little bit of background on my LinkedIn experience, I worked at LinkedIn for 2 years between 2016 and 2018. I was in the LinkedIn sells many different softwares that you would never know about if you weren't sort of a larger client of theirs. And one of their softwares is a sales tool. So my role was to sell the sales tool to clients in financial services. So I helped asset managers, wealth managers, private banks, commercial banks, private equity, venture capital, use LinkedIn to find, to find either talent, to use LinkedIn in some cases to find new opportunities to grow revenue, in some cases to find companies that they were looking to acquire sort of as like an extra layer to whatever financial services technologies they were already using, and also as an opportunity to build thought leadership. So today I'm actually wanting to really share with you all how to network at scale and network most effectively with your time is actually going to be in the area of thought leadership and brand building. So we're going to cover a few things. First, I'll go over everyone's profiles, not everyone's, but I'll share sort of best practices with profiles. And if you want to, yes, I was selling Sales Navigator. Michael, do you use it? I'd love to know if you did. And also maybe if you had any particular thoughts on Sales Navigator. But yes, we'll go over profiles. Then we'll go over best practices for finding new business, finding new clients, finding new board members. How do you find things on LinkedIn? That's really what I want to unlock for you all today. And then at the end, we'll go over some best practice on how to build your voice and develop your voice such that you're attracting your ideal relationships at this time, and then also best for our post-COVID time. Does anyone have any pressing questions? Anything that they're just like, I just don't understand this aspect of LinkedIn, or Erikan, could you really just make sure you address this, or what are best practices for that? If you could actually just share some of those, I'll take a gander and then I'll start sharing my screen.
When we get a request from someone we've never heard of and we have no connection with, do you think we should say yes, or should we just ignore them?
Yeah, I think it depends. I think you can look at their profile and say, this might actually be somebody that's interesting in ways that I don't know now, but that might be interesting. I'm in a headspace right now where I'm actually trying to build my quote unquote audience. So I actually accept connection requests from folks that I don't know in the interest that when I share things, whoever they're connected to or whatever sort of their universe is, when I share things and they engage, it expands the reach. So that's kind of my mindset. But if you're saying to yourself, I don't want any strangers in my connections, I don't want anybody that I don't know because I don't want anyone sort of claiming that they know me and vice versa, then, it's totally up to you to kind of reserve that. But I'm using LinkedIn a little bit differently these days, where I'm less on like the connections that I have are the exact people that I know, and more so using it as these people are generally aligned with who I'm kind of pursuing, and I think they can expand the reach. Let's see. How do you represent myself and my activities without necessarily producing my own content? Totally, absolutely. What's the benefit of paying for the upgraded service? I'll answer a few of these questions now and then we can dive in. So what's the benefit of paying for the upgraded service? It depends on what you're looking for, but if you are looking for a job, for example, really at the end of the day, LinkedIn is free until it's not. So everyone, everyone can put up a profile. Let me just give you general context and let's dive into LinkedIn and I can start answering these questions. So just give me a second. So there are 600, where are we at right here? Sorry, we're going into my email. We're doing all sorts of things right now. Sorry, here we go. All righty, so just general context. There are 650 million people on LinkedIn. What that really means is there are 650 profiles. So if you can think about it, the profiles that we all create are kind of the base and the foundation for how LinkedIn exists. And then on top of that, LinkedIn kind of creates different tiers and levels for how you can access those 650 million people. So if you're looking for a job, for example, and you get the job focused subscription or the upgrade for that, you are essentially increasing your chances of a recruiter finding you, or LinkedIn making it possible for you to connect with certain people that may be out of your network. So typically when you are purchasing a subscription for LinkedIn, you are getting behind the paywall to either access more of those 650 million people, particularly folks that are not within your network, and or increase your chances of your search results coming up in people that may be trying to find you. So I'm curious to learn more about why you're thinking about getting an upgrade, but I'd also love to show you kind of what you can do with and without it so that you can then decide best what's best practice for you. So admittedly, I'll say this, LinkedIn is probably one of the least intuitive social media platforms out there. So if anyone is saying to yourself, I just don't get this thing, it gives me a lot of anxiety, I just never know what I'm supposed to do, there's a bunch of noise, I'm here for all of the criticism because I say it myself, even having worked there. But I just want to give you a little bit of a lay of the land. Then we can dive into best practices for how you should really show up on LinkedIn in the most simplest and easy way. So just in general, I think when you come onto LinkedIn.com, there's maybe 2 or 3 ways you should prioritize where your eyes go. So you have your profile, you have your news feed, and your news feed is helpful, and I think it's more helpful than any other platform, say like a Facebook or an Instagram or even a Twitter, because these people that are coming up in your feed are folks in your professional network, and or they're folks in your professional network are connecting with as well. And the reason why the feed is helpful, and maybe on a daily basis or every other few days that I come onto LinkedIn, I do a light scroll, probably maybe 2 strokes on whatever keypad or phone I'm on, just do a light scroll, because I want to be able to engage with some of the people that are in my network. And it takes 2 minutes to just tap a few relationships, and then I'm out. So for example, Peter Kim. Peter Kim used to be one of my old managers at LinkedIn. He used to work at LinkedIn. Now he works at Relativity. I'm also aware that Peter works at Relativity, and our former executive at LinkedIn is now the CEO of this company, Relativity, and he's talking about relativity. So I recently sent Peter a message like maybe a month ago, and I'm going to assume because of COVID, he hasn't necessarily responded because he's a sales leader and dealing with a lot of things. So I'm going to just tap a quick like, so that what happens for Peter is he's going to get a notification up here, and this notification is going to say Erikan has liked your post. That is sort of a gentle, light touch, and a way for me to just very simply and instantly, within under a minute, connect and engage with my network. So that's my way of sort of thumbs upping Peter and sort of acknowledging great work that he's doing. Maybe I'll do a nice little extra slight scroll, and then really honestly probably move from this area. And I'm just like catching up on what my colleagues are up to. This type of engagement, someone said, how do you want to present yourself on LinkedIn? Outside of the profile, doing light engagement with whatever naturally comes up through your your news feed is a very valuable way to kind of stay in touch and almost network from your couch. This is your way of saying congrats to X person, or just like staying on top of mind. And I've had cases where if I engage with my network, they will then send me a direct message saying, hey, I saw that you liked my message. It's so good to see you, or certain things like that. And then it'll expand into, hey, want to get on a phone call? It's been a long time. So a myriad of different ways that just a light touch and a light engagement can really enable you to expand new relationships. So secondly, though, I suppose the news section is interesting depending on what you're into. But really the other areas that I like folks to really focus on is the search bar. And we're gonna dive into the search bar a lot today, but essentially the search bar is what I believe to be the most important aspect of LinkedIn, because you're actually, when you're using LinkedIn, most people are just looking at their feed and their profile. But if some of you all specifically are looking for certain types of relationships, if you're looking for board members, if you're looking for different folks you want to actually start building client relationships with, it's going to be in the search bar that you're going to actually spend a lot of time. So we're going to come back to the search bar soon, but I wanted to just emphasize it so you all knew where it was and are ready for us to prioritize it. So I'm now ready to transition into explaining the profiles just at a very high level. I don't want to spend a lot of time there because there's a lot of content on the internet already today about how to create a great profile. But I am happy to do a profile audit of anyone in this group right now if you want me to kind of take a look at your profile with the group, and also give you some tips and feedback on how best to present yourself. So I'll say to anyone, does anyone want to share, want to sort of type their name in and volunteer to, here we go, volunteer to have their profile reviewed. Let's see. Yes, all right. Alrighty, Mark, we're gonna go over your profile. So, Mark Schwartz. Let me know which one is you. because, and you can unmute yourself if that helps, because I figure there's multiple Mark Schwartz. Mark, can you let me know which
The
one?
first one is me. The first one at the top of your screen.
Amazing. Okay.
And I actually sent you a request while we were on this.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, I'm just gonna plug on in. Okay, so now we have, we're looking at Mark, and I'm going to go over a few areas that I think Mark has done really well in terms of his profile, and some areas that he can improve. So, great. So Mark, first and foremost, I want to just acknowledge for most people to understand, what are the most important aspects of your LinkedIn profile? Again, your LinkedIn profile is valuable for a few reasons. One, it is not just your resume, contrary to how most people kind of talk about LinkedIn profiles. I say the entire profile is kind of like your short documentary. You know, if you can imagine someone clicking on your profile and really only giving 10 seconds to whatever the heck it is that you're going to say, you want to really tell a succinct but also compelling story on what you've been able to accomplish, or what you've been looking to accomplish throughout your time as a professional. So 3 of the most important aspects of your profile that really follow you anywhere you exist on LinkedIn are going to be your picture, your name, and your headline. So this section right here that I've highlighted is called your headline. And this is kind of like your billboard. So if you can think about being on the, if you all remember your days back in Claremont, being on the 10 freeway, if you all remember, maybe some of you are more familiar with the 210, but if you can imagine just any highway in your local town, and you might see a big billboard on the road, right? Let's think about the Apple billboard. And oftentimes when you see the Apple billboard, you'll see like a very sleek looking phone, a bold color, and it'll just say iPhone 11 or something. That is your quick snapshot to Apple is letting you know that we've got a new sleek phone and you should be excited about it and you should buy it, but you move on. You know, you keep going. This headline is kind of like your billboard. You're on the road, you're keeping going, but you see a quick flash of what Apple is selling or what Mark is selling, and you keep going. So the reason why these 3 areas are the most important is because anytime you exist anywhere, anytime you show up somewhere else on LinkedIn, and I'm trying to show you all what I'm talking about. Let's go back to the homepage, and I'll just show you really fast what I mean. Anytime anyone shows up on LinkedIn, you're going to see those very 3 things: someone's name, somebody's headline, and then their picture. So for example, Sabrina, you see this, it's almost like her stamp. You're going to see her picture, you're going to see her name, you're going to see her headline. Similarly, when you kind of hover over, it's going to show you more about her name, her headline, her picture, and in this case, her connections. Scroll down to see somebody else, it's going to say the same thing. For Pedro, his picture, his headline. So it's really important to get your headline and your picture and your name right. So Mark, I think you have a solid photo, solid image. We could see your face, it's nice and clear. Folks, you want to make sure you have a clear picture. So if someone saw you in a room or someone saw you in a different context, they'd know for sure, oh, that's Mark, I saw him on LinkedIn, or that's Mark, the guy I just met, so I'm going to connect with him now. So great, you say you're a board member, CEO, and CFO of public and private companies, you're advisor to CEOs and advisors. I think this is fantastic, Mark, because you've told me a few things. You've told me what your current priorities are, or kind of where you currently sit. I'm assuming, before I even scroll down, I'm assuming you're an active board member. And then you're saying to me that you've stood at the CEO and CFO level of both public and private companies. If I'm somebody who's on a board search, or if I'm looking for a C-suite to kind of become an interim CEO, I'm immediately seeing, before I even need to click onto your profile, again, because I'm seeing this header everywhere you exist on LinkedIn, I'm seeing expertise, and I'm seeing someone who probably has the capacity to really maybe help a company go from private to public. And I'm also seeing that you are generous with your time and you are invested in other people, because you're saying that you're an advisor to CEOs and entrepreneurs. So wonderful start there to your profile. The next section that I think is really important is your about section. Truthfully, some people look at it, some people don't. So at the end of the day, I think it's best for you to be most safe and acknowledge what you are. And so we're seeing some folks are also saying that they love a profile review. We'll do our best to maybe get one or two more, but there's so many more great factoids that I want to share with you all as well. So Mark, back to your bio here. I'm just going to do a light scan because at the end of the day, most people will land on someone's profile and give you 10 seconds. Literally, you got 10 seconds to let me know why I should care, why I should engage with you, why you should engage with other people, like really just giving it to me in a short period of time. So I'm seeing here 27 years, CEO, CFO, board member, public-private companies, 12 years of investment experience. I'm seeing some diversity, Hispanic supermarket company. You founded the largest US Hispanic supermarket company. I find that interesting for various other reasons we could talk about later, Mark. He advises C-suite companies. Okay, great. I'm seeing some industry-specific expertise, consumer, retailing, technology, great. Operational experience, great. Entrepreneurial perspective, got it. Diverse industry, great. I'm curious to know, and this is just, I'm curious to know your word choice in the die and then verse and then per and then perspective. Love to know kind of what that sort of represents for you. But I'm generally seeing, you know, you're very experienced. You certainly are in a good position to ensure that any company you advise is in good standing with our good friends at the SEC. And throughout your career, you've really been intentional about maximizing as much visibility you can in a public and private capacity on boards. Fantastic. I'd see that and say, wow, Mark is really an expert, and I can sense in a few ways that I'd like to reach out to him for mentorship, connect with him with maybe a CEO club that I'm a part of, or do various things. Your mind, most people's mind starts to imagine all of the different ways that they can collaborate with someone like Mark, because he made it very clear what he's really good at and what you've most experienced at. One thing I would say, Mark, is that you could also, if you're up for it, is maybe even add a little bit more of a personal touch too. So maybe you could say at the bottom, if you chose to, if you wanted to, you can say maybe you're a golfer, or maybe you could say, you know, I also volunteer in these particular areas. That is a nice sort of way to round out your personality. Some folks get to be very exclusively professional on LinkedIn, and that's fine, and that serves a great purpose. But increasingly, especially in COVID times, we're looking for increasingly more humanity and folks to kind of show their softer edges. So Mark, I think what you have here is fantastic, but if you wanted to, you can also add maybe just a few sort of hobby, personal, just like contextual things on who Mark is the person. But we really see who you are. So great, you've added some documents. I think these are probably valuable for all of the various C-level people that you work with, but potentially you're a blogger. Potentially you are someone who you also volunteer at certain organizations. Adding those links, particularly to add a little bit more lighten up on the text, might be a really great way for you to kind of round out your profile for folks to see, to dive in and be able to click into maybe some of the companies or some of the what that US Hispanic supermarket company was, maybe adding the company page link for that. Similarly, if someone is scrolling down, they're able to see what is Mark's activity. One thing about LinkedIn that's really important to look into is, given any profile that you're on, you want to gauge to what degree it looks like they actually get online. Some people's LinkedIn profiles are completely dead, meaning like you could tell they have 20 connections. That usually is a sign that they don't use it very often. They have no activity, meaning that they don't get on and they don't engage with other people, just like I engaged with my former boss. But Mark, I can see that you engage, and I can even see the warmth in your comments to, it sounds like Jeff. So that is just like another light little accent for me to gauge who you are as a person. And then here I see your experiences. I see the board seats that you have. I also see that you're the chairman, and I see all these different things. One question I have for you, and of course I see your education. Mark, for you, why would you be interested in using LinkedIn? What are you looking for out of your time on LinkedIn? And you can put that in.
I use it to connect with potential potential companies that are looking for boards of directors to add more board members.
Okay.
And
Are you looking
I'm
to add
probably
yourself
on
or others?
LinkedIn literally more than any other certainly more than any other social media platform, but probably more on LinkedIn than any site on the internet. And I also use it as, in effect, a way of supplementing my contact database. So if I connect with somebody on LinkedIn, I have a way of emailing them because you can access their contact information. And I've also used it to help other people who are looking for, operating jobs and companies. You reach out to the CEO and the CFO, you're going to get their, contact information, and that will help you, in your search.
Got you. Do you have any tips for our fellow alum who may be sort of new in the game and trying to figure out how to get comfortable with using LinkedIn more frequently to expand their business and their networking?
Well, I also try and find people I have a connection with. And the CMC connection, candidly, is a bigger card to play than my Harvard Business School connection, because of the uniqueness of CMC.
Yeah.
It's rare that someone won't connect with you when you play the CMC card. So I've even gone to the CMC alumni database and checked out people, and then connected through them, on LinkedIn through the CMC connection.
Yes. So I love that you said that, Mark, and I think that's a great segue to the next aspect that I want to share with you all. For some of you all who asked for an audit, we'll do maybe another round, maybe in a few minutes, but I really want to capture what Mark said because a lot of that may not actually be intuitive for some of you all. So something that Mark said was he really takes advantage of the CMC connection. Many of you all probably don't need to hear this, but I'll say it for folks who may need to. When you come onto the CMC campus and you spend your 4 years and you invest in that experience, your relationship with CMC obviously doesn't end. Clearly, you all are engaged with the alumni network so much that you found this opportunity. But really, you're part of that legacy forever. And what that means is you're constantly able to just go into the treasure trove of CMC and just find out who are the humans within my CMC network that have something that I think I could glean from in terms of value, but also areas where I add value to them. I want to show you kind of what Mark was talking about and also what is a best practice in my world as well that I use. So I'm going to go to the CMC alumni page. Let's see. CMC alumni, how would I find this? Sometimes it's not always, you kind of have to, alumni folks, what is the name of the group page? Do I call it Claremont Mckenna Alumni Association? Great. So we're going to go to the Claremont Mckenna College Alumni Association. This is a direction that I would go for most of you all who are either looking to build new relationships or folks who are looking for new clients, folks who are looking for anything. If you're looking for anything and you just don't even know where to start, I typically recommend going initially to the Alumni Association group, clicking see all. So here on the far right side, 4,000.
Hey, Erikan?
Yes.
Erikan, it's Ursula. I actually would suggest going to a different page. Go to Claremont Mckenna College. The alumni page only has 4,800. The Claremont Mckenna page, and then you click on the alumni button will take you to 12,000 alumni.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Ursula. Alrighty, so you're saying go to Claremont
McKenna. I think it's still bringing you to that alumni page.
Okay, sometimes LinkedIn can be a little slow. So Claremont, McKenna.
And you're looking for the logo. There it is.
This one right here?
That's it, the school. And
Okay,
then if you
cool.
click on the alumni button on the left-hand navigation.
Okay, I think my internet's getting a little slow. I'll close a few things. Alrighty, so you're saying click on the alumni button. Oh, okay, great. Amazing. Thank you so much, Priscilla.
And then that
Yes.
should take you to about 11,000 alumni.
Wonderful. All right, everyone, just to rehash that. Generally, if you're looking for new relationships, new opportunities, new things, I want you all to always think of how can I start and start from your CMC alumni. So you're going to go to the Claremont McKenna page. Then on the left side here, click on the alumni button. As a result, essentially, LinkedIn will give you a search engine almost, and it'll sort of break down exactly how you can be filtering the alumni base based on what you're looking for. So I would recommend searching within the alumni search bar here, some keywords, some titles, some different things that are specifically aligned for what you're looking for, and seeing which of your peers, which of your alumni come up. And then you can use that as an opportunity to click the connection button and choose to connect with them. Or it could even be an opportunity for you to send a direct message to them and say, you know, hey, a fellow CMC alumni here. I see that you have X experience doing X thing. I'm actually building something that's complementary or compatible or whatever it is. I'd love to get on the phone call and kind of discuss some synergies. So for folks on the line who are looking for new customers or expanding their business for the first time, or trying to just kind of build specific types of relationships, if you can chat and put in the chat, what types of people are you looking to connect with? What types of people are you looking to connect with? Are you looking to connect with investment professionals, people in finance? Are you looking to connect with marketers? Are you looking to connect with freshmen? Are you looking to connect with engineering talent? Drop in the chat some different types of people that you would like to connect with. Maybe give me a light description, and I'll turn that description into a search that will populate amazing CMC alumni that you can now consider reaching out to. And again, someone asked, how do you show up on LinkedIn and think about your activities without creating your own content? This is another way for you to engage with your audience and engage with CMC without having to create new content. I don't see anything in the chat. Book publishers, let's get a few in here. Business owners for companies that have 25 to 50 employees. Okay, are you selling those people something? Are you, why do you need those people in general? Because I want to really make sure the search is targeted. But let's say book publishers. Chris, I hope that means that we can expect a lovely, amazing page turner from you soon. But let's look up book publishers. So let's look up publishers just to give us a start. So across the 12,000 alumni, we're looking up folks that in some way, shape, or form mention on the profile publishers. So Mika is a senior publishing manager at Penguin Random House. She's so we can take a look at her and see if she would be somebody valuable for you to connect with. Senior publishing manager at Penguin Random House. This is Mika, CMC alum. You know, work with the One World editorial group, scheduling. At the end of the day, I don't even know if someone who's at a publishing house, you need to ensure that their specific role is perfect and specific to you. At the end of the day, you know you have an inroad into Penguin Random House. And if you know in your mind that's valuable to you, I would recommend either sending a connection request to Mika and or sending a message through LinkedIn's messaging tool right here, where you can send a personalized message to Mika. Again, someone asked, why would I upgrade my subscription? Some people's profiles are open for you to, just send them a message. Some people's aren't. So when you get an upgrade or subscription, you increase your chances of being able to message them without any barriers. If you're not able to message them directly and LinkedIn says then you need to sort of get an upgrade, your alternative is to send them a connection request. It's going to have a limitation on how many characters you use in that message, but nevertheless, you can still get your point across. And so in a message to Mika, I would say, hey there, I would say CMC Unite. That's oftentimes a really amazing hook that I use to engage with you all, my fellow CMC alum, to say straight up front, hey, a fellow CMC here. So I'd say CMC Unite. I'm gonna just let there be typos for the sake of getting through this. Hello, Mika, Chris here. So glad to see you at Penguin. I'm currently writing a book, sorry for all the typos, and would love to learn from you about how to publish with Penguin. Looking forward to connecting. I'm not the best typer on demand. You all will give me grace. Okay, connecting. Cool, simple message like that, send the connection request. Maybe try and find maybe 10 other people across the CMC alumni base that have a connection in some way, shape, or form in publishing, so that you can send a message to Mika and maybe 9 others and hope that at the very least, maybe 2 or 3 reply, and you're able then to get at least 3 phone calls with your fellow alum. And again, Mark, I'm so glad that you mentioned that CMC in particular is a unique audience where people are very responsive, because it is very true. Because we went to a very small liberal arts college, it's love every time we see each other wherever we are in the world, because it's so rare that we get to connect with one another. And it's also rare, honestly, that people are proactively reaching out to one another with the CMC sort of connection. So anytime, I regularly, probably every 2 weeks, I reach out to a Claremont College alum. Whatever age, whatever year, it doesn't matter. But I kind of stroll through like this was my neighborhood on LinkedIn, and I just say hello to my peers and say hello to my alum, and it's always well received because it's rare. So Chris, and some of you may be a little nervous about sending a message to someone you don't know and feeling like, wow, that just seems strange. No. When people are on LinkedIn, and particularly if you're engaging with a mature professional, they recognize that opportunities are abound. And sometimes opportunities don't come to you. Sometimes you have to go to them. And LinkedIn is a really great way, if you are solid within yourself, to just send someone a note or send someone a message and allow that opportunity to come through. If they don't reply, please don't take it personally. Everyone's kind of adjusting to life as is today. But I encourage you all, if you're looking for something in particular, expand your net. So if you see Mika, try and find 10 other Mikas, so that, you know, the odds can work in your favor, whereby, you know, 3 out of the 10 or 2 out of the 10 or the 1 out of the 10 that replies is the golden and the money to kind of give you more momentum towards whatever it is you're looking for. I'm going to show you all how to do a different type of approach, and feel free to drop in any questions, but I'm going to take some of the other folks who wanted me to look in what's a generic message to send if you just want to connect with them. Oh, okay, great. Hello, Mika. Melissa here, a fellow CMC alum, class of whatever class you are. Your background is really interesting. I especially connect with your background in being at Reader's Digest. I used to read that platform a lot growing up, and would just love to connect and maybe just occasionally share things with you, or just would love to connect. That's fine enough. It is okay enough to just say, would love to connect based on reasons why I think you're interesting. So to say that more succinctly, if you want to just connect with someone on a generic note, maybe you just think Mika's interesting, great. Just say why you think that person is interesting and say why you would love to connect. So let's see, San Diego-based philanthropist, great. Someone asked to connect Scott and Karen. You all are looking for philanthropy-based San Francisco-based philanthropist. All right, I'm going to show you a different way to look up CMC people that's a lot faster, and it doesn't require you to go to the Claremont Mckenna page and then sort of click alumni and do all those things. We're going back to the search bar now, and I think most of us on this call may or may not be familiar with Boolean Logic. Drop me like an exclamation mark if you remember Boolean Logic, and a question mark if you don't know what the heck I'm talking about with Boolean Logic. All right, philanthropy. All right, we've got some folks who are just saying, no, what the heck is that? And we've got a lot of folks who do know what that is. So Claremont, I'll explain it in a minute, but keep coming with your question marks and your exclamations. Okay, we've got a lot of folks who don't know. That's all good. I'm going to explain it in just a moment. Okay. So Boolean logic is generally an archaic concept of how to use search engines. It's not oftentimes in practice today because technology and algorithms are so good at capturing what you're usually looking for in a search bar. But Boolean logic is essentially the concept of using and, or, not, but, neither, when you're searching for multiple keywords, thoughts, or ideas. So in this particular case, I believe it was Scott is looking for philanthropy and looking for somebody that is a Claremont McKenna College associated person. So Boolean logic would mean you want to put parentheses, or excuse me, quotation marks. Yes. Jenna, it has an actual name. It's called Boolean logic. And you can use it in Google. You could use it probably in Instagram. You could use it anywhere. And it's usually just the best way of saying, if you're thinking about LinkedIn as a huge database, Boolean logic helps you really filter out all of the noise in a large database and get really narrow and specific to what you're looking for. And it involves quotation marks and capital conjunctions, I believe the word is. So and, not, but, or, and we'll practice with a few so you get to see. But again, I'm showing you this so you don't have to worry about clicking into a bunch of different pages to get straight and fast to what you're looking for. So Scott, you were looking for philanthropy and CMC folks. So I typed philanthropy with quotations around it. And again, with Boolean logic, you want to identify words or phrases that are either valuable to you, that kind of somebody else would identify or use on their profile to search across LinkedIn. So we're telling LinkedIn, almost like you would tell Siri or Alexa across your home or in your phone, LinkedIn, please search philanthropy and Claremont McKenna College. Okay, great. But then on top of that, we can now add a filter where we say San Diego only. So LinkedIn is this amazing database. Beyond all the profiles that you think about, it's really a search engine of human beings, of opportunities, of great new things that you really just have to search and find. So we did a search for philanthropy in Claremont McKenna College, and we filtered it by San Diego. And guess what, Scott? There's 9 people that have mentioned philanthropy somewhere on their profile, so that now you have this long list of 9 folks that you can connect with and engage with. But first, I would definitely say, let's take a look at their profile and really confirm, validate that they're your ideal people to connect with. And feel free to just use your example to find alums in Denver. Works great. Michael, that's great news. That is great news. So Michael, take a look at these tips so we can make sure not only did you find great alums, but that you're really kind of validating that there's an alignment. All right, so we found Jill. Let's take a look at Jill's background just as much as we took a look at Mark's background. So Jill, we see that she's Senior VP of Philanthropy and Strategic Alliances at J. Craig Venture Institute. Maybe Scott, maybe you're familiar with that institute, so that's always a good look if you're familiar. She went to USC, fight on. Myself, I know that I'm a Trojan sort of via legacy. My dad got his PhD at USC, so I know that I would reach out to her, obviously for CMC, but I would also add the fact that I'm sort of aligned with the Trojan legacy as well. And wonderful, she's connected with Michelle. We gotta love Michelle. Everyone, round of applause for Michelle. We appreciate her great work over in development. And we then get to see the extent of her experience. Okay, well, she's been in this philanthropy role for about 1.5 years. That's good to know. So you could generally sense she's a little new, but still obviously very senior. So in some cases, I'll even acknowledge the fact that they are maybe on a 1-year anniversary, or they just started their role, or different certain things. Oh, okay, Michael, thank you so much. Nice meeting you. Michael's leaving us, but nevertheless, I would kind of take a look. Oh, okay, wonderful. Jill is connected to CMC because she's a trustee. Wonderful, Scott. You now want to use this information. You see she's vice president, former CTO of Merrill Lynch. Obviously, that's no small feat. So she's certainly a powerhouse, certainly a wonderful a woman to engage with. And you need to be very clear now, Scott. This is where LinkedIn requires you to do your homework and come very strong. You need to know, what is your ask of Jill? And that is the work that most people don't think about when they're thinking about professional engagement. So a lot of folks want to connect with people, but you don't know what you're going to ask them. You know, you don't know what you're actually wanting to engage with them on. So you want to be really clear, and you want to try and get it right as best as possible what your ask is of Jill. So I am actually, I know we're coming to time, potentially. I'm happy to stay on longer, but I'm getting together a group of CMC alum for an accountability group where we get to really kind of dive into the exact language that you want to use when reaching out to folks to expand your business, to build new relationships, and really create longevity with the folks that you are engaging with. Because we just helped you find Jill in a matter of 2 seconds, but
Well, is it me or is it our speaker?
I think we lost Erikan.
I think we lost Erikan for a second. We'll give her a little bit to maybe catch up on the internet. Looks like we lost her. Hopefully she'll be able to log back in fairly quickly.
While we're waiting, if anyone hasn't put their name in the chat, could you do so now? And your year or affiliation.
It was clear her internet connection was challenged. Every time she did something, it really slowed itself down, didn't it? Well, Chris, you know a lot about LinkedIn. Do you have any thoughts for us?
Hey, John, since there's a gap, how are the students handling the remote learning as they wrap up their senior year?
Seems to be going okay. It's not what anyone bargained for, obviously, but no, that they think that I think that it's okay. I mean, it's a little challenging for students, you know, in China and India because you know, they have to wake up at 2 in the morning to go to class. But no, I think it's okay. They're doing a lot of breakout rooms and things so that they can have class discussions and things in a good way. We've adjusted the senior thesis, so no more printed and bound senior theses will be due. We gave them an extra week, and they just have to submit it online as a PDF now. So they're hanging in there. Sorry.
Good luck to all of them.
I just had a question while we're waiting about Facebook versus LinkedIn in terms of professional or you know, just general networking. I mean, it seems like, I don't know if it's a generational thing or Facebook's obviously more general, but I didn't know if both are important or if they really feed into two different levels of professionalism.
I mean, at least the way I do it, I only use LinkedIn when I'm looking for career information, as I said, for finding students to connect, for finding alumni to connect with students and answering those kind of questions. And I really think of Facebook as a much more kind of personal
Mhm.
family private thing for friends, people that I know. And yeah, I think I mean, if I'm looking for investment bankers in Singapore, I wouldn't look at Facebook. I would only look at LinkedIn. And also, and I do use the alumni directory as well. We all have access to the online CMC alumni directory. So sometimes that's a good way to look for people. And then I can go on LinkedIn and see if they have a profile there and learn a little bit more about what they're doing by looking at LinkedIn. I mean, the nice thing about LinkedIn is it shows you their work history, as we just saw on the screen. You could see all the jobs that Jill Mullen had. And that's a really hard thing to find in Facebook usually.
If I could add something to that, someone once described the difference between LinkedIn and Facebook. LinkedIn is like going to a business networking event or a corporate cocktail party. And Facebook is like going to a backyard barbecue with friends and family.
Yeah, I get that, and I guess the world I live in is in nonprofits and education, and less of the corporate environment. I mean, professional, but not quite the same. So I guess that's where my question comes from.
I would say that there's on LinkedIn, the nonprofit and educational worlds are well represented, and if it's for business purposes or for vocational purposes, it's LinkedIn, and if it's for friendly stuff, I mean, I just see what are on the Facebook feeds, and there's a lot of meme sharing and joke sharing and fun videos.
Right.
You wouldn't use LinkedIn for that.
Right. Got it. That's what I thought. I just thought I'd check because, lots of young people go to Facebook only, I guess, or spend more time there.
Suzanne, I think it depends too about who your ideal client is and what you're trying to achieve. I've seen online businesses using Facebook really well with lots of Facebook Live connections and opportunities to really get a sense of who that person is. So I'd say explore Facebook a little bit more if you want more of the personal connection, and you could always do both.
Oh my God. That's what I'm trying to avoid. I think it all makes sense though. So thank you all for your thoughts on that.
Well, I sent Erikan a message on LinkedIn, just letting her know we're still here if she can rejoin us, but she hasn't answered. So maybe her internet connection died off, I'm sorry to say.
I have another question while we're waiting. It's unrelated, but my son is a senior, and has there been any thoughts on the graduation? I can't hear you.
I think the plan is to do something to, as we're calling it, mark the moment that for the day of graduation, but that the hope is that we will be able to have a real ceremony for everyone at some point. I mean, we have people planning. Oh, there's Erikan. We're planning to do something, but what is going to be available and possible to us is still unknown. So I would
assuming
say
the fall.
probably in the fall. Yes, we'll see. But obviously, it'll take a lot of lead time to get that organized for everyone. And I think it's still too early to make a call as to what we could do or when we could do. Erikan, we're talking about commencement, which is,
yes.
been postponed. I mean, President Shardock said we will do we will have a ceremony at some point when we can celebrate the class of 2020.
Right. All right, y'all. Apologies there. I honestly don't know what happened. I think technology got a little tired. And so I appreciate you all still being on board. Did folks want to maybe go another few minutes? Does that work for you all? Did you already discuss your availability to go a little forward? Yeah? Hope this has been helpful. So I was in the middle of showing you all or talking about how to really reach out to folks. And that is a science that I want to just quickly, yes, let's keep going. All right, Melissa. All righty. I'm going to show you a sneak preview of best practice for reaching out to folks. And I hope that that's really helpful for how you think about kind of taking your networking to the next level and reaching out to people that you may or may not know, and or folks that you have a particular ask. So I'm going to ask you all to drop in the chat. For some of you who are, yes, amazing, Mark. I look forward to staying connected with you all. Amazing. And if you all could maybe drop your emails. Jenna, what was the process for sending out this recording?
We have a web page that we're uploading everything to, so I can include that link, but social media, we're promoting that, and through our weekly emails. So just keep your eyes out for all of the alumni and parent engagement content, and you'll see that video archive library.
Okay, so my ask to everybody right now is that you all connect with me on LinkedIn. Connect. Please do that if you haven't already. I want to be a resource to our alumni base as much as possible during this time. I think it's really a great and important time to really think about showing up more effectively, particularly as leaders generally, but especially on LinkedIn. And I really just want to make sure folks feel like they're really unlocking opportunities that they didn't know to be possible because they're learning more effectively on how to use LinkedIn. A bit of context to what I'm about to share with you all. What I'm going to share with you right now is essentially, and I'm just pulling it up, it is the tried and true science-backed way that myself and all of the sales professionals at LinkedIn use to reach out to busy people, to well-connected, influential people, and we use this science data-backed outreach to build LinkedIn's multi-billion-dollar empire. And so I'm going to show it to you. Let me share my screen. Host disabled, attendee screen share. Amazing. Thank you so much. If you haven't connected with me, connect with me. I want to make sure I get all those connection requests and I'm able to answer all your questions. Amazing. So one of the untold secrets that I'm going to just actually jump back really fast. One of the secrets that I shared with you all earlier about LinkedIn that most people don't ever talk about is Boolean Logic. And I'm just going to quickly share with you, kind of encapsulate that really fast, just so you all can kind of see it in context really fast. So appreciate you following with me. What is Boolean Logic? So Boolean Logic is the use of the phrase, the words, these search queries, and, or, not, or, but, and it enables you to, with quotation marks, really hone in and identify your search. So I'm just showing you this so you can kind of see the mixture of words that you could use in your search to try and tweak what we saw earlier with like philanthropy and Claremont McKenna College. So we've seen some success there, and now I just want to jump on into what makes compelling outreach. I really find it super interesting how a lot of us get a bit of social anxiety with reaching out to folks and kind of putting yourselves out there. I want to just shout out John Ferranda, because I've told you this before, John. I think you're a masterful networker, and I think you should do a course some way, somehow. Yes, I know, John, I've told you this before. I think you should do some sort of course, because what I think makes John really unique, and this is going to come into what some of the success is behind LinkedIn, is that you're able to kind of address or recognize within someone what is interesting and draw a connection. So John, I don't know if it's because you have a powerful memory or whatever it is, but you're just really able to kind of remember who you're in front of and strike a conversation with them. I think that's a strong skill and really something to really extract here. I thought it was Boolean Logic. Oh, Boolean Logic, no! It's Boolean with the double O. It's the unbelievable memory, right? Yes, thank you, Chris. So, John, I'm not alone. We all appreciate and think you have very special skills in terms of connecting with folks. Your memory is really, really special. So all that to say, why should you send a message on LinkedIn? Why would you even do that? Well, here's a few fast facts for you all. Sending a message on LinkedIn yields a 12 to 15% response rate versus sending someone an email. Let me really break that down for you so you can kind of put into context. When you send someone an email, particularly someone you don't know, someone who may just generally be a busy individual, probably someone who's managing teams and just like doesn't have a lot of time, you're sending it sort of one-to-one. It's a one-shot sort of opportunity and you hope they see it. However, if you send someone a message on LinkedIn, a few things happen. They get a notification, that red circle, that red dot that says in their messages section, somebody has sent them a message. And guess what? LinkedIn also sends them an email letting them know that someone has sent them an email, sent them a message on LinkedIn. So you're almost tapping them in about 2 or 3 multiple ways, be it on the LinkedIn platform and in their inbox. So it's almost like you are catching them at all the places where their attention is. And that increases your chances of getting them to kind of follow the thread and follow up with you because you kind of tap them in all the places that their attention is. So it's so effective that it's 300 times more effective. And I'll just tell you this, I said to you all earlier that I'm in the early stages of building an asset management firm, and I literally, I kid you not, have reached out to executives of multi-trillion-dollar financial institutions and gotten them to reply back to me within 30 minutes of sending them a response, sending them a message on LinkedIn. Like follow back on LinkedIn, and their message was, send me an email, let's discuss, I wanna meet you in person, let's go. And it's just like, who am I? I'm someone who's, obviously smart and all those great things. So I honor who I am as well. But it's who's to say that you could ever imagine someone who would be so busy, especially just before Corona hit, that they would reply to you. There's something powerful in the message framework that I'm going to share with you right now. And also the increased success rate of using LinkedIn specifically to send out mass communications. Your receiver, what other thing that happens, and that's great about LinkedIn because it's a social platform, is your receiver, the person that you're sending the message to, will be able to kind of validate and figure out who you are. So let's go back to the person that I just mentioned that I reached out to, who's a executive at a large financial institution. That person was probably able to immediately get a message from me and then look at my profile and figure out, who is this person? Why should I care? Is this person any good? Oh, okay, maybe they'll see Claremont Mckenna College and they'll see, okay, cool, this person went to a reputable school. This person then may see mutual connections. And one thing I didn't emphasize earlier that I definitely wish I did sooner is that everything in our lives, and you all probably know this more than I do, but everything in our lives is based on people. We get new jobs because of people. We get someone who said something good about us that changes the way an interviewer thinks about us. Everything is based on our connections and our relationships with people. So when you have an opportunity to connect with someone you don't know, but you know that John Ferranda is the mutual link, then you know that that's going to increase your chances of that person wanting to connect because we all appreciate John. Similarly, Melissa, you and I don't know each other, but if we both know Jenna, then we can say, oh, wow, okay, cool, you know Jenna. How do you know Jenna? And then immediately the conversation gets going and we already feel like we're familiar and we know each other. That's one of the most precious and simple ways for us to really, especially in this virtual time, to get human with each other, especially really soon, so that we can really feel like we're not sort of being transactional with our business interests and our relationship building. We're really using our profiles, using our connections, mutual connections, and using sort of the CMC connection to really feel like we're grounding a new budding relationship. Okay. And typically also, why is it good to send a message through LinkedIn is because it stands out above most people. Again, most people, 650 million people on LinkedIn are on LinkedIn but don't know what to do. are afraid to reach out to people because they think it's awkward or strange. So when you take that step of courage and you reach out to someone, you really stand out above the crowd. And if you come correct, as I would say, or as if you come with a strong outreach, it really rings quite well. And even that, plus the mutual connections, plus the alumni relationships, really just makes you seem like an absolute rock star and kind of flips the dynamic to you being in demand with that person. All right. And as I said, it allows you to kind of foster more a relationship and sort of commonality quite quickly. So I'm going to just check the chat. Someone's messaging us. Do you have the free version of LinkedIn limit? Does the free version of LinkedIn limit the number of people you can message? Yes. So again, LinkedIn is free until it's not. So you can message people, and then I'm sure LinkedIn will say, all right, you've reached your max for the month, now you got to pay. So that's another advantage and benefit to getting a premium subscription. And then you might have a situation where you do a number of those Boolean Logic searches that we did in the search bar, and then LinkedIn says, all right, you've done enough searches for the month, now you've got to pay. So you will come across those instances, Melissa. You want to think about how often you might be wanting to send messages to people. Depending on the subscription, you might get a range between, maybe 10 or 15 messages every month that are free and that are part of the package of the subscription, up to about 45 and maybe even 60, depending on the subscription you get. So if you're thinking that you really want to be using this time right now to be reaching out to a lot of people, then you might want to just invest in that maybe free 30 days, you get a 30-day upgrade or subscription, and then maybe you really maximize what you can in those 30 days to really justify the return on your investment to invest in another month and ongoing months. Let me know if that was helpful for you in deciding. All right. Okay, so doing your research before you reach out to somebody is really important. I showed you a little bit what that actually looks like, but I want to really break it down so you can kind of see it, and maybe you even screenshot this on your screen right now so you know specifically what you want to be looking at when you do all the work to find someone's profile and now need to kind of see, how can I make a connection with them? By doing your research and looking at someone's profile, you're really just honestly looking up ways that if you message them and acknowledge whatever it is you found on their profile, they would kind of feel like, oh, this person is building rapport with me. They've done research on me. They know who I am. They're letting me know who they are. I feel more at ease and I feel kind of a special sort of virtual connection with this person. So you want to look at people's job experience. Remember earlier when we were looking at Jill and we saw that she said, the first vice president / CTO of Merrill Lynch. That is a pretty impressive feat, especially to be a woman. I don't recall what time at Merrill Lynch that was, but that's a pretty great feat. Maybe in my outreach, I would say congratulations or thank you for your leadership, or I would acknowledge the fact that she was one of the first at a large bank. And then I would say, courage, like folks like you really inspire us to work with philanthropists who want to really give to this cause. Scott, that's something I would suggest for you in terms of your outreach. Additionally, previous employers. Similarly with Jill, she was at some institute or something like that, but obviously we acknowledge that she used to work at Merrill Lynch, and I think she worked at a few other large organizations. Bringing that up in your outreach all show that you did your homework, but all show that you kind of really took the time to draw a connection between what you're going to eventually say that's related to an ask and who they are and what they've sort of spent a lot of their life's work committed to. Similarly, education. Mark had mentioned, we obviously just did that whole spiel on connecting with CMC alums. Common interests. So if Mark, if you all remember when I was giving Mark some feedback, I said, maybe add that you're a golfer or add that you're a volunteer for the American Heart Association. If I saw Mark's profile and I saw that he golfs, I would say, so what if, I would bring up the fact that I don't golf myself, but if I did, I would bring up the fact that we have a common interest in golf. And so anyhow, you can kind of get the gist, but you want to look at people's profile and kind of look for some of these different types of categories to really think how you can then use that as an anchor in your outreach so it doesn't feel cold and in fact it feels warm. So this right here is the money shot, everybody. And if you take nothing away from our time together, please capture this. Please, please, please capture this. Do a screenshot, grab your phone out, take a picture of it. This is the money. And why is this the money? This is what has enabled LinkedIn and many other people who are effective at sales, who are effective at fundraising, reach out to strangers and get them to reply. This is a data-backed template on what gets people to reply to your outreach. So I'm going to break it down for you to really take a look. So the first piece of any message is obviously the subject title, the subject line, and or the first sentence. You know, that first sentence, if you remember, oh, okay, thank you, Suzanne. So nice meeting you. Okay, so if you all remember back when you had to write essays and there was always the hook, remember when we had to write essays and there was that hook, you gotta get them good. Similar approach here in writing an email. Your subject line for your email, or, and mind you, excuse me, let me take a jump back. This template here is the same template that I use for emails, for messages on LinkedIn, for text, for voicemail, anytime, you know, all of the different approaches that I'm engaging with someone who's a stranger on the street, these are all the same things that I use. So a hook would be based on the research that we just went through. So again, if you have someone like Jill, you want to acknowledge that she was one of the first CTOs at Merrill Lynch, that would be a hook. That's something you did in your research, you discovered about her, and you're using that to kind of gain her interest initially. Additionally, who you are. You want to then acknowledge who you are. So I am Jenna, I am John, I am Suzanne, I am Mark, and I am the CEO, I'm the intern, I am the whatever at X entity, or I am a aficionado of global finance, or whatever context and grounding you want to give around who you are, just sort of state who you are very quickly. And then the third piece is say something compelling to them, particularly that really sets you up for their ask. So for the ask. So if you're saying something compelling, it would be, let's say for Scott, going back to the philanthropy piece, you're reaching out to Jill and you're saying, you know, hello, I'm Scott. So you're saying, great work as a leader across finance and philanthropy. That might be my subject line. And then in the first sentence, I say, hello, Jill. I'm so glad to see an amazing leader like yourself really creating opportunities for others to break the glass ceiling. I am Scott and Karen. I run an organization to build community amongst philanthropists. Scott, I'm not sure exactly what your interest is around philanthropy, but let's just say that. And I think you would be an amazing addition to this community. And the reason why I'm reaching out, so now the fourth piece is because I think we'd like to honor you at our next award ceremony, virtual award ceremony. And then for every single piece of outreach, make sure you close them with a call to action. And a call to action is essentially making your question super clear and specific for them to say either yes, no, or I'm available that time, I'm not available that time. So a call to action is kind of requiring them to acknowledge what their availability is for a particular action you want them to respond to. I'm gonna pause there to see if we have any questions. Does anyone want me to, let's see if we have any questions. Does the free version limit the number of searches? Yes, it does. It does limit the number of searches. Sorry, I'm all over the place, y'all. Here we go. It does limit the number of searches. Anyone have any questions? Bring your shared window to the front. Can you all see my screen? Still, yeah. Any additional questions on what I've just shared around best practice? Would you all like me to show you an example? Yes. All right. So Melissa, what are you on here looking for? Let's use you as an example. Yes. Okay, cool. You all give me another, for either of you, let me know who you would like to, what types of people you would like to be connecting with on LinkedIn. What are the types of people you want to find on LinkedIn? And then we can figure out your outreach from there. Type it into the chat here. So Jay Scalmanini, I hope I said that right. Jay, what are you looking for? Who are you looking for? It's okay if you, special needs parents or advocates, sports information directors at colleges. Okay, so Jay, I'm gonna work with you. Arthur, if we have a little extra time, I'll try, but Jay, I'm gonna work with you. So let's use Boolean Logic because I think it's just the fastest way to get straight to the money. So sports information directors. Oh, okay, let me move my screen. Just give me a minute. Let's do desktop. Okay, can you all see my screen now? Yeah, awesome. All right, Jay, sports information. And to confirm, can you confirm for me, do most people in their title, as a director or officer, do they have the phrase sports information? I think she stepped out of the room. Well, let's just try sports information and colleges, I think she said. What did she say? Looks like your screen is frozen. Yes, that's the title, Sports Information Director. Okay, cool. Director. Would you say there's an ideal college that you would love to identify, like right off the top of your head? Maybe let's just say UCLA. Let's just say UCLA. Okay, no result.
I think you can ask for sports.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. All righty. Okay, Melissa, actually look out for this comment that I'm about to make right now. So Jay, if I'm saying, is it okay if I call you Jay? Or let me know which name you prefer me to call you, and I'll call you whatever name you prefer. But so what we're seeing here is we searched sports information director, and while you were away, all right, Jeannie. While you were away, I just typed USC just to kind of get us going, because I just said to ourselves, you know, what would be an ideal college you would want to know off the bat. So Melissa, to your comment about upgrading and getting an upgrade. So LinkedIn does this. Again, I told you there's 650 million people on LinkedIn, right? If someone is so far out of your network, meaning you don't have a first degree connection, you don't have a second degree connection, there's not even a third, there may not even be a fourth. That person is just not connected to anybody that you know in any way, shape, or form. Their search query will come up for you, but it'll say LinkedIn member. And sometimes it'll be that a higher subscription may allow you to unlock that person. So in that case, that might be the case. But for me, I'm just going to move past and go to the others because there are clearly 69 people I can engage with here. Okay, so Jeannie, really, I mean, it's your call here to identify which folks you want me to kind of click on and take a look at. I'm not sure if folks in the at UCLA or generally in this area would be valuable for you, but you really want to think, okay, let's look at Mason, for example. The research section, remember when we just went over all the research that would need to be done to really make sure your outreach is really spot on? So Mason, let's take a look at some of the aspects of Mason. So Mason used to be at the Dodgers, or maybe he currently is. Oh, okay. Mason is, currentently at the Dodgers. Oh, he's a freelance reporter there. He's also a reporter for the Daily News. He is more clearly a writer type. And I don't necessarily see where, so he's a sports information director at Masters University, and maybe he went to UCLA. I'm not exactly sure the UCLA connection here, but really your role is to do a light scroll and see, is this somebody you would want to connect with? Jeannie, just based on a glance here, is this someone you would want to connect with? Maybe give me a nod or so. Maybe yay, nay. Nah, not quite. Okay, cool. So if this is someone you want to connect with, then you have a few options. You can send them a message. And in my case, sorry, there's so many things I'm trying to move around here. Okay, Mason's profile is open, which means that you are allowed to send him a message without needing any special type of subscription. That's wonderful. So, Jeannie, as I'm getting this message set up, if you can kind of let me know, what is your core ask of someone like Jason? What would you want them to respond to? Are you trying to get a meeting on their calendar? Are you asking, do you want money? Like, are you like trying to close a sales partnership? Are you hoping to do a partnership that doesn't have a monetary implication, but you think there could be a synergistic way to collaborate? Like, type in the chat for me what you think the root of your ask is, and we can start formulating something. So so let's say great Dodgers write-up. So we know in this case that Mason is a freelance reporter for the Dodgers. So what I would have done is I would have Googled Mason as well. So I would have gotten out of LinkedIn and I would have also Googled him. By doing that, I might find maybe a few articles about that he's written, or think publications that he's behind related to the Dodgers. And I maybe would have clicked on one and just kind of scanned it briefly to kind of get a sense of how he writes. Great. I'm only doing that, and I'm only spending max 10 seconds doing research on that so that I know kind of how to appeal to how he shows up online. So I would just say great Dodgers write-up plus partnership opportunity. And again, Jeannie, let me know what the ask is here that we're working towards so I can really make sure I'm sharing with everyone else how to calculate what you're asking. So I would say, hello, Mason. I caught your article on the last game before COVID. What a compelling piece. So we're gonna accept typos, yeah? Okay, I am Jeannie. Oh, okay. He's interested. So Jeannie is actually sharing that, oh, okay, she's wanting to help her son, if you don't mind. Oh, you shared this publicly. She's trying to help her son get an internship. Okay, great. Well, funny enough, I actually have a template for interns, but I'm going to share this with you in case you were trying to reach out for partnerships, because folks might be on here who are trying to expand their business. So I'll show you both directions. If you wanted to reach out to Mason for an internship, and if you wanted to reach out to him to expand your business. So for folks who are trying to build business relationships, this is for you. So lock in with me on this one. So I am Jeannie. Scalmanini. I'm just gonna make something up. The sports liaison at my company. Let's say this. CEO of Sports Incorporated. Okay. I think the work that you're doing to drive real news across sports is something we want to elevate. I'd love to invite you to a virtual event to share your thought leadership on the space and connect with our audience. I don't know, this is not the strongest, but I'm just kind of trying to give you a sense of how you would kind of contextualize why somebody should care. So this is the sharing something compelling or like acknowledging why they should care. So let me just quickly go over the kind of format and structure that I've used here. So here's our hook. Here's our personal hook that is based on the research. Here's follow up on the hook. So we said I caught your articles from the last game. This is you acknowledging who you are, and then acknowledging something compelling about yourself that he would care about. So the work that you're doing is great and we'd love to elevate it. So it's kind of saying something compelling about what you're doing and what he's doing. And then you're kind of establishing what is the purpose for you reaching out. The purpose for us reaching out is essentially to invite him to a virtual event. It's so that you can hear more of his expertise and knowledge. Would you be open to connecting next week about our event and opportunities to partner? How's Tuesday or Thursday, 2 to 5 p.m. Look forward to hearing from you. Ah, best J. Let's just call it J. Cool. So this more or less, it's not perfect, but generally this is the cold message that I would send to someone. But the way that I've made it warm is by acknowledging this person's career background and really trying to frame the opportunity and make it clear to him why he should even care about what we're saying. And then we're making it super easy for him to say whether he wants to engage with us or not. And then you're giving him specific times. Let's do this, PST, to acknowledge his availability for us to connect. If some of you all have children who are on the hunt to find their internships, I did a session with students, two sessions with students last week. But here's a quick, if you want to screenshot this so you can show your kids how to best reach out to folks. Here's how your children want to reach out to alumni using the same framework. So I am showing you right now the exact copy that I used to reach out to Claremont College alumni when I was trying to get my job at LinkedIn. And again, for the parents in the room, I mentioned earlier, relationships are everything, right? So a lot of your kids are probably, writing resumes and cover letters. All those things are great, but I'm not somebody who encourages resumes and cover letters. I am someone who says, get on LinkedIn, tap the Claremont Mckenna network, tap Claremont College's networks, and get in the door. I applied to work at LinkedIn through the resume and cover letter approach, and I did not get accepted. But it didn't matter because at the same time that I submit my resume and cover letter, I reached out to Mike at former Pomona alum, and then I reached out to a bunch of other CMC alum, and then I reached out to a bunch of other people, and they all told me about my future boss. They told me about what the job would entail, and long story short, within 3 weeks, I went through the entire interview process completely outside of whatever official resume, cover letter protocols they had, and I got the job offer in 3 weeks. But along that journey, I also got a rejection letter from an automated system. So for me, I had to go through the back door to get in my job, and the rest was history for me. So I really encourage folks to sort of abandon waiting for someone to pick them and choose them and going straight to it and letting people know that, hey, I want this opportunity and I'd love to talk to you about it. So for parents out there who are just thinking about how do you support your children at this time who are trying to find opportunities to stay fresh and relevant professionally, here's an example of what I said to an alumni who ended up being an incredible resource to help me get into LinkedIn. So again, if you all ever get a message from me and I say 5C Unite, you know what I'm up to. So I always send out outreach to Claremont alum, and I usually lead it with 5C Unite. That's my personalized hook. It's short and sweet, and it's the easy way to get someone's attention because it's very rare that someone from the colleges is reaching out to them. So I said who I am. Erikan here. I went to CMC, graduated 20, and then I said something compelling, something that they would care about. So I said, I don't think we ever met, but I know you went to Pomona. You were part of BLP, and BLP is a specific program within LinkedIn. And I acknowledged some personal connections. I name dropped. I said my two friends, Jonathan Jackson and Andrew Kung, were also part of that program. The reason why I said that was because I saw that Mike, I looked him up. I searched LinkedIn and I searched all of the colleges. I filtered all of the LinkedIn employees by all of the colleges. So LinkedIn was just showing me who works at the company of LinkedIn and who went to one of the Claremont colleges. I found Mike, and I also saw that he was connected to my friends Jonathan and Andrew. So as a result, I found also then that he was a part of this program that I know my friends Jonathan and Andrew were. So it was a really simple way, an easy way for me to kind of connect all of the dots and lead with that up front. So now we're getting into the money. So I essentially told him, I'm reaching out because there's this role that I really want. It's called a relationship manager. And here's the ask. I wanted to know if you have a moment to chat about your experience at LinkedIn and any insights you have. Are you free for a chat next week? That's my call to action. I end it with something super clear for him to say yes or no to. I would improve this a little bit by just saying, are you free to speak next week, Tuesday or Thursday, Monday, Wednesday, 2 to 5 p.m., 9 a.m. to 11, whatever it is, so that people can really feel like they're getting straight to it and you're not having to do the back and forth around scheduling. I'm going to actually pause because I've said a lot and I want to make sure I'm capturing folks' needs. So great advice. Thank you. This was great, Erikan. Thank you, John. Yes. Okay. When networking If a message is sent to a LinkedIn member not in your network and they don't reply, is there a process to reach out again to connect? I believe the system does not allow a second note to be until.
What, my friend?
Pardon? Oh, okay. Received by the original message. Yeah. So if you reach out and no one replies, I would do what I can to find them on another social media platform or find their email. So there's a solution called hunter.io, hunter.io, and it allows you to find people's emails. Yes, short is sweetest, right, Melissa? Yeah, I got straight to the point there. And if you all want to just maybe take a quick screenshot, you can. And this is generally my outreach to recruiters and my outreach to hiring managers. But all in all, it remains the same. The last little nugget here, and I think we can close off, and I'll share with you a program that I'm doing with CMC alums to really ensure that we're kind of all holding each other accountable and really encouraging each other during this time. But follow up at the end of the day is the name of the game. We've really gone on a journey today, and I appreciate you all sticking with it. That is far from the profile, right? And oftentimes we really focus a lot on the profile, but really that's not where the money is. The money is finding the right people, reaching out, and then following up. So a lot of folks oftentimes get nervous and anxious about following up too much. They don't want to seem like an annoying or being a pest. I wouldn't worry about that at all, friends, because folks recognize real, and they recognize, an ambitious, a passionate, committed person. And so I would say generally rule of thumb is to take between 3 to 7 days or so to follow up. So if you send somebody a message today on Tuesday, maybe sending them another note. Truly 3 days would be a roughly Thursday, Friday, because it'll lean into the weekend. They may or may not see the message. I would then kind of wait till next Monday to reach out. And then in that case, you reach out on Monday, maybe the following Thursday. So we reach out next Monday and then reach out that Thursday after that Monday to kind of follow up. If you don't hear back, maybe after about 3 attempts, maybe take it easy, maybe circle back in another month. But follow up really at the end of the day is the name of the game. I put my email address here just so you all can have it if you want to send me emails, but also please connect with me on LinkedIn. And now I just want to take a quick opportunity to share with you this accountability group that I'm working on. And I'd love to invite you all to take part in so that we can really kind of go on a journey together to really unlock these opportunities and grow during this really uncertain time and still see traction in our careers. So where we at? So essentially, if you go onto, I'm going to drop the link. If you go onto, I just dropped it in the chat. But essentially, I'm hosting an accountability group. Where I really want CMC alum to feel like they're in community with maximizing their use and leverage of LinkedIn. So in this event, I'm essentially unleashing and really diving deeper into some of these concepts that we've talked about today so that you can really start to scale your B2B business. Specifically, if you're a B2B person, this is going to be a good fit for you, and really leveraging LinkedIn to find, engage, and close new and existing clients. So essentially, what will it involve? What will it entail? It will entail, oh, the link's not working? Strange. Let me find it. Let me try it again.
I was able to use the link.
Oh, okay. I'll try it one more time. Send it again. So essentially, so I'm limiting it to 5 people, and essentially what I'm trying to cover for you all is what does it look like to be a sales leader? What does it look like to be a business development leader? And I've created a framework that is essentially all that I use as a salesperson at LinkedIn. And I was fortunate enough to become the #1 relationship manager, the #1 salesperson in my division before I left LinkedIn in all of Western Hemisphere. So that means North America and South America. I was the go-to person for the product that I sold, for really being an effective salesperson. So in that, I really wanted to break down what led to that success. And what really led to that success was building a personal brand. And a personal brand oftentimes is spoken about in different ways, but partially at the end of the day, it's a lot of this couch networking that we've really unpacked today. Building a personal brand is just being really good at communicating why people should care about you. And why is that valuable is because it allows other people to start echoing your name in other circles and in other spaces, such that people are now coming to you for opportunities. It's sort of showing up one time, and that time sort of having a ripple effect on your ecosystem, and people now coming to you regularly for you to really start seeing more automated lead generation and automated business traction. Additionally, in that framework, we're going to cover what are your value propositions and the people, the persona specifically that you're trying to connect with. So today we kind of touched on it a little bit. I asked a few of you all, what are you trying to engage with folks on? It's one thing to find somebody, but what are you selling? Why should they care? What is the thing that you're going to do and add value for them in their lives? And then really kind of identifying prospects and then pitching them. That email, Jeannie, that we went over where I found that sports information person, essentially I'm teaching you all how to be really good at pitching, putting yourself out there and making it a really clear, creating really clear opportunities for folks to latch on to what you say and close them. Additionally, I just went over follow-up. The art of selling and the art of sort of building relationships is really, anchoring on your ability to follow up consistently and drive them towards an opportunity that's mutually beneficial. And fifth is really relationship management. How are you managing relationships, even if there isn't sort of a close or a transaction up and coming? How are you managing those relationships so you're constantly adding value to them, and so you're always top of mind when things do settle a little bit more post-COVID and folks start ramping up in their business operations? So what can you really look forward to walking away with in this experience is you're going to walk away with a LinkedIn audit. So you saw that I did an audit for Mark today. You're going to walk away with that and obviously get peers to give you some insights there. And you're also going to walk away with 5 prospective clients in your network, in the CMC network, in your broader network that you can engage with immediately. And then we're going to go over a high converting pitch email, much like I showed you earlier, to really ensure that you have a tried and true template for reaching out and engaging with people at different times in the global climate, but also in your own cycle, gaining, closing new business, so that you feel confident every single time you engage with new people or existing people that drives your business forward. Additionally, we're going to go over a 3-step process for building out prospective client lists. So people that we did that earlier. We just did a quick search and we found 9 people for, I believe, Scott, who's looking for philanthropists. We're going to really go over those things for you so you feel confident and comfortable with really the opportunity for you to expand your business objectives. And then we're going to, since it's limited to 5 people, you're going to have 4 other peers who are equally committed to growing their business. Some bonuses that will also be included are really identifying your client personas and walking away with those templates that ensure that your outreach to folks is constantly converting them and enabling you to have really strong relationships with people that you're either building with or wanting to close to grow your business. So the way that this will work is it is $495 for a 3-month journey where we'll meet every other Saturday. And we'll come online. It'll be the 5 of us, and we're going to walk through this framework for the course of 3 months, and we're going to really power through together. Hopefully, by the end of that 3-month period, we'll all be able to celebrate and go outside. But we'll see how that goes. So I'm sharing that with you. If you want to sign up, you're welcome to. Hope to just get 5 people locked in the coming day or so that we can go on our way and really see ourselves explore opportunities we didn't even know were possible, because we really found out how to truly use the machine of LinkedIn and all of its abundant opportunities. All that to say, y'all, I hope that I have shared with you some new aspects of LinkedIn that you didn't quite realize were possible. I hope I've been a valuable resource to you. Feel free again to please connect with me. Erikan, I am on a journey to build something that I hope to be really powerful and special. I'm building an asset management firm that will be largely led by women and investing in women all over the world. And I'm excited to be working with some of the best finance leaders everywhere to really get this done. So I'm really grateful for your time. Thanks to everyone for sharing all that information. And thank you so much. Oh, thank you for being proud. I appreciate that, Will. Thank you so much, y'all. I just have to say I'm so grateful to have gone to such an amazing college. And it really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm so happy to help everybody so we can really power through this very interesting time. But I think there is some unique opportunity, and I want to really be a coach to you all there. Thank you, y'all. Anything else, Jenna?
No, that's it. Thank you so very much. And thank you everyone for sticking it out. I can't believe how long we went and we still have people. So that is so great. And keep your eyes out for the recording so you can share with others too. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you all. Cheers.